So, to start off, my name's Caroline Bottomley. I set up a company called Radar Music Videos about 3 or 4 years ago, which is a network for music video directors, record labels and unsigned artists. It's a place of access for labels and artists to meet music video directors and commission them. For labels, artists and directors to promote their music videos and to get their music videos broadcast. So I'm going to be leading this and hopefully involving a lot of questions from you. I'll do a quick introduction to the panel, then we'll find out a bit more about you, and then we'll get started on questions. So this is Dave Graham, who has a production company called Crossfire Productions, which is a small but perfectly formed production company.
Good description.
Yeah.
Very nice.
This is Mikey from Shameless, which is a much larger but also perfectly formed production company. Shameless and Crossfire both do commercials as well as music videos, but you're both notable in the music video arena. Kim is a music video director who is repped with a company called Thomas.
I'm actually with Thomas for commercials and Davey for music videos, as of just like a week or two.
Oh, well that'll be interesting.
And I rep her for music video, which I didn't know she did.
Okay, well we'll get into that because it's all a bit complicated, all this repping business. This is Chris from OB Management, who also rep directors but are not a production company.
Well, we're independent reps, so we represent production companies for music videos and their directors. It's kind of complicated.
Okay.
But, yeah.
And Caroline is video commissioner for Ministry of Sound, who've recently been producing some really exciting music videos for Example and Wretch 32. And they've got a string of interesting music videos to your history. So I think the first question is going to be why get repped, and I think we will start with Mikey for that.
That's very kind of you. Why get repped? I think it's important to have representation because you've got somebody to support you, whether it's production or whether it's forgive me for referring to you as an agency, but a specific kind of representation. You've got somebody who can support you the whole way, whether it's through your concept, your creative, budgeting, just general support more than anything really. I think if you're a sort of a lone ranger out there and you haven't got people to ask questions, people with experience, people to say, do you know what, that's too expensive, but there's a cheaper alternative and we can do something similar, then you're probably slightly more in the dark. Right. So it's more support than anything else.
Yeah. Also really important for management, just like, I don't know, I mean, when it comes to our job, is that it's really important to us that our directors are doing what they want to be doing, and if not, doing what will take them to what they want to be doing. So it's also really about managing your talent, and not only that, but it's also really important to have a middleman. I don't know if you guys agree with me, between sort of like record labels or whatever, agencies. It's important to have that buffer, that person who can act on behalf of you, which I think is like invaluable.
Once you got repped, did you start getting more work than you were getting through your own contacts?
Well, I've gone about it a bit of a different way. So I've been with a commercial production company for like 3 years, and it's only now that I'm getting back on the music video bandwagon. But if I talk about commercials for a sec, there's no way in hell I'd get commercial work if I wasn't with a production company. I know it probably works a little bit different in commercials than in music videos, but same goes for music videos. The first couple that I did were just through mates, and I think you can only go so far with that. After a certain point, you need to kind of not only develop career-wise and go beyond, the tiny budget music videos. You need to do something a little bit bigger, but there's no way personally I'd really be able to access that through my contacts, or it's like a full-time job doing that as well. You've got a network, you got to find out who needs videos or whatever. You need to kind of do that whole side of things if you want to try and do it without representation.
Yeah, I think also from a label and commissioner point of view, we'd be more than happy on like a $3-4 video to find upcoming talent that aren't signed. But we would never ever give away a £10,000, £15,000, £20,000 budget if they weren't signed to a production company and we didn't have representation, because you just can't risk, even if someone's amazing, you can't risk handing over that sort of money if there's not kind of the admin sort of backup side of things there as well.
So true, because the number of, like, say, foreign directors we get who come into the country and they've maybe done 5, 6 music videos in Australia or something like that, or done maybe a short film that was really good at Cannes, and then they come here and nobody wants to get involved with them at first. You know, from a major label perspective, because despite the fact that their work might be great, they don't have that support that they need. I use one of our directors as an example, but he came over, and as soon as he got signed to one of our production companies, he did a 35, 40 grand music video, just first job in the UK, but before that, nothing. He couldn't get anything, just because his work's fantastic, but he didn't have that.
So has anyone got any particular questions at this point that you want to throw in about maybe moving on to commercials, like career progression?
Curious about the role of director as, in music videos as compared to, say, commercials or a short film, and specifically in relation to the collaboration and the creative process with a DOP. Is that quite different in music?
I think I'll just talk you through the process through each one, maybe. That's the best way. So commercials, one thing I find is that you have the agency that you're working for, and then the agency are then working for the client. So you have a lot of people over your shoulder watching a separate monitor that you're also watching with the DP. So you're trying your best to do what you're trying to do, but then at the end of the day, it's down to those guys in the back room to sort of, no, we want it like this, or we want the light a bit, you know, so they have the final say. So the DP, you're trying to be as creative as possible with him or her, but things could get kind of tweaked slightly. Music videos depends on, I think, again, it depends on the budget, but personally I find that there's so much more freedom. At least the music videos I've worked on, they haven't been massive budgets, but there is the client there is the band there, but I find you just get so much more freedom to sort of make things look as you intended them to. Short films, I've done a couple, and they've always been with Film London, but on every shoot, I've done 3, every shoot I've been on, they haven't been present. They just kind of let you get on with it. So that is the ultimate kind of creative experience, because you can just do exactly what you want and tell your story as you wish. So that's probably, working with DPs, that's the best for me, because you just sort of do what you set out to achieve. But yeah.
I'm going to make a bold statement here.
Hey.
I think that DPs make or break a lot for record labels. A lot of the time, like, they have, like, you know, for example, a younger director who's maybe done 2 or 3 music videos, and they've done some great work, but still not quite there yet, and they get an opportunity to do a bigger budget thing. The DP has to be well-known, well-liked, well-represented. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is make or break. A lot of the time, a record label will just be like, who are you going to get? The first thing they'll ask us is who is going to DP it.
Good for you.
Yeah. Dude.
This is exactly what I've been hearing recently, and this is one of the reasons why I'm here, to kind of hear it all from your horse's mouth, pardon the expression. Because that's exactly what I've been told. I'm a new DP, done a couple of features, a few music videos and stuff, but music videos, much more than kind of like short films, experimental dramas, narrative kind of things. The label is very, very involved a lot of the time.
Super involved.
In choosing DP, even sometimes like above the director in a way.
Think it's a trust thing again. If you're trusting a new director that you don't know, you then want a safe pair of hands on the camera. It just makes people very nervous if there's 2 complete unknowns, whereas if you've got the new director, you can see he's got talent, but he's with an experienced pair of hands.
Well, it all comes down to the fact,
makes it feel safer, I think.
It all comes down to the fact, like you said, music video, or somebody said, music video is about your idea. And that's the amazing thing. It's about the idea. It's about the creative process. But then again, it's also about the camera.
And also
that
executing it
exactly,
properly.
and the lighting and all that. And that's a big part. Because what are music videos about? Also, you know, they're a style thing as well. And style has to look good. Yeah. So, you know.
It's the same in commercials as well. The agencies are as much focused on who the DOP is as labels are.
Yeah. There does seem to be not a lack of DOP, but there's the few names that you know and trust in music video that you go to time and time again, and there doesn't seem to be like a huge, like recently we've done a couple of jobs and there's been a lack of good available DPs.
Seriously? You don't even know. I'm not even kidding. You're a DP.
Cards in my bag, guys.
You too, buddy. You don't even know. They're not enough. They're not enough. There's a shortage. There's like a drought of DOPs.
So is that an producers as well?
Yeah.
Producers,
There's a
massive
serious
shortage
lack
of good.
freelance producers.
Serious lack of freelance producers.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking for that nice new producer.
Can I ask a question on that actually, especially from your perspective? How involved do you get on the production side?
Start to finish.
From start to finish, in every aspect
From
of
creative
it.
concept right through to delivery.
So
I don't think you can produce a music video properly unless you sit there through the offline, through the grade. Your job is to manage the production side of thing on behalf of the label. So if you're not there the whole way through, then you're not essentially doing your job.
Yeah.
You have to be there every second of the day.
Does it make sense for DPs and producers to make themselves known to all of you then, just as much as music video directors?
You know, all those emails you get through, they're like, I'm a new DP in town
Yeah.
from whatever, Montreal, whatever. We keep those.
Right.
Like, everybody, we check out the work, we'll get 10 a day, and we will look and think, what about this new guy? Well, we got a new video. You know, it really makes a difference.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can't always, but... Yeah.
Shall we talk a bit about... Sorry. Oh, sorry.
I had a question with my producer hat on. I'm the commercials producer, but trying to switch over a bit to music videos because I've got some young people that I kind of like to build their reels up and stuff. But how do you make any money from making a music video?
You don't really. I mean, am I right? You don't really. But I mean, it depends, because there's some music video directors that make a living. I mean, a few, but a couple that make a living off of doing music videos. I mean, I know we certainly work with a few, and producers, they tie themselves to a producer most of the time, or they go through a production company, and also that's what you should be thinking about, is joining meeting production companies.
I think you can make money off of music videos if obviously you build yourself up to doing sort of regularly the 50 granders, but you can't be as selective of what you do. You have to see it as a living more than a creative vision, and then you do your ones which are your creative vision, but you don't turn, because a lot of the bigger budget videos, the label's going to be on you like a ton of brick. They're going to be really, really strict about what they want from the artist, how they want the artist to look, and it will often be a very, very poppy track. So it just depends, I guess, what sort of mindset you're in and why you're going to be doing the music videos.
I would say every single one of my directors at Shameless has a second job, whether they're teaching photography or working in a bar or whatever. They generally don't make their living out of music videos. They do it for passion. They do it to build their career to get to that point where they can make enough money to survive off it, and then they can leave the other job to the side and do that as a part-time thing. And I think it's the same with producers. When I was freelancing, and I used to freelance for Pulse and Black Dog and all those other production companies, I would daisy chain as a producer. I would leapfrog one job to another, because you could never concentrate on one video for 3 weeks, but as you went into post and your job was essentially done and you could just babysit and mind, you would then go into pre-production for the other job. And I think if you're producing, that's probably the way to do it, to be able to still pay the bills. But as a director, most of them have alternative means of making money.
I've just remembered, actually, Vic and I put a bit of effort into trying to get some questions from Twitter, and we haven't asked any of those questions yet, so perhaps we should start bringing them in.
Spot. Well, one of the good things about the anonymity of the internet is that it will probably mean you get asked the questions that maybe some people in the audience would want to, such as, just for each of you, what's the basic way for directors to try and get their work seen by you guys? Just bearing in mind if they're unsigned or they've only got a very small reel, how do they go about doing that?
If they're unsigned, I guess it's kind of getting in touch with you directly and sending you through links to their work. Although, I'll be completely honest, you get quite a lot, and you'll probably glance at the first minute. You probably, just being brutally honest, you probably won't watch the full 3-4 minutes through.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions coming through from people. How do we find you, for starters? Is it better to send a show reel or to send links to music videos that we've done?
If I were
try and get to meet you.
If I were you, pick one piece of work that you think is really good and it completely personifies what you want to do. The worst thing to do are one of those montage things.
Yeah, chopped up.
Nobody likes those. Nobody wants to watch them. It doesn't show anything of your work. It just doesn't work. You want to see. If somebody sends me music, we get so many of them, and we watch. I would say every single one. Maybe the first 30 seconds. That's the most important. Is the first 30 seconds of that piece of work. Even 10 seconds has to grab your attention.
Yeah.
And we'll call you, or you call us, because I'd say on average a week we meet 10 to 20 new directors.
Wow.
And it's
That's
like,
a lot.
yeah, big time. And it's because, you know, we want to have our finger on the pulse of everything, and we want to develop new talent. We love meeting people. So it really is just finding that piece of work and sending it to people that matter.
Does that work the same for DP?
Yeah.
So, no, I'm just wondering because
I don't know.
because
if
like
it
the
does.
whole showreel montage thing.
I think with
Oh,
yeah.
DP,
You
it's
instantly went,
different,
don't do
though.
that.
Don't.
We hate them. But when you're DP,
Because if it's a DP, it's about the beautiful lighting. It's not about
True.
the story and whether you've
Yeah.
executed the story.
Directors
It's
are
about how it
different.
looks.
You're right.
I think for a DP, it's
Okay.
it's better.
That's a good point. I forgot there were a few DPs. Apologies.
How did you key? Would a good opening line for you be something like we've just won, or we've just been nominated for the best music video award in Belarus, or something like that? Would that be a good opening line for
It's a
you?
fairly engaging line. If it's,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
Only
going
if
to
it's
say.
true.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's highly dependent. I mean, that's an engaging line, and that would capture my attention. But also saying that, you know, it could be anything from I've just graduated from Columbia, or I've just graduated from this, and I've done, you know, I'm only 19 and I've shot 60 videos. Whatever.
Yeah.
It depends on who you are, and it depends on your
What
personality.
about I'm 62 and I've just decided to get into music?
I would love
That would be engaging.
Well, I mean, I won't reveal, actually, for the honest opinion, I don't know the actual answer, but we represent Tony K, film director Tony K, for music videos. And he isn't quite as young as other directors on the roster, but there's no, I don't think there's any age limit.
Oh, is there
I mean,
not?
these guys.
How wonderful. So, with you, Caroline, people, it's not too hard to find the ministry telephone number. People will phone up and say,
Yeah.
Can you give me the details of whoever commissioned your
Yeah.
videos? And they'll say no, but they'll
They might. Sometimes we do get calls transferred. I had one the other day from some film students. You do get them, and not to sound harsh, but unless they're incredibly engaging, and I'll usually give them my email address and say send through what you've done.
Yeah.
But it is literally, you've got to be hooked in the first 30 seconds because you just get inundated and they've got to really stand out.
It's true, without sounding brutal, if you're applying for any job in any industry, when you send your CV through, what are people going to do? They're going to read the first 4 or 5 lines.
Yeah.
If they're not interested, they're not going to give a damn about your employment history or whatever.
And if they send
So-
you loads of links, you're like, oh, I don't know which one to. It's just one thing. It has to be
It's
good.
not that any of us don't have the time or don't care, because we do, and like Chris said, they meet 20 odd directors a week, and we get all these emails. We do look through them, but you have to have that engaging kind of introduction.
Not only that, but something super important is if you get in touch with somebody, don't start pestering them.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is the word. Like, not that it's a problem if you call a lot, but I mean, we're busy. Do you know what I mean? And it's like you get some people come in and they're super lovely. They're just out of school, and you give them the time, and you love. We said to a couple of people, if anything comes our way, we happily send it to you, and we do. But then you'll get that call once a week that says, "So you got anything for me yet?" And you're like, I mean, it doesn't really work like that because.
I mean, it's the same with a production company dealing with a commissioner from a label. It's the same thing. You've got to kind of, you've got to be tactful about it, and there's a way of going about things.
What kind of skills are you looking for in a director then? Is it more narrative, how to tell a story, or someone who can do great special effects? I mean, what do you have to say about that?
Everybody has their own skill, and everybody has something valuable about what they do. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. I think, there are people, to be honest, there are few and few, I don't know how you guys feel about this, I feel like there are fewer directors who do narrative.
Yeah.
Like, it never happens anymore.
And even when we try and get a good narrative, it's often not executed quite how it should have been.
It's weird,
executed. I think a lot of directors struggle to do a really good narrative.
That's something quite valuable.
And something you enjoy having commissioning.
Well, I think a lot of our music is aimed at young people. It's very sort of dance orientated or rap orientated, so it appeals to sort of a 15 to 25-year-old market. A lot of the people within that market, they're still teenagers. They love a story. They love a bit of something emotional happening or something funny happening, and it engages them. It's not like we're making sort of really left of field arty videos for critics. It would be good to get good narrative videos. Definitely.
You're very narrative, aren't you?
Yeah, actually that's kind of what I like to do most, narrative storytelling videos, commercials, that kind of thing. One thing I was going to say is that yeah, every director is different. Everyone does their own thing really well. But I think an important thing, especially if you're a director at a younger stage, is just do what you want to do and what you're passionate about, and don't try and fit into a mold. So think, okay, well, I want to do this kind of music video, therefore my style has to be a bit like this. If that's the route you want to go, that's fine, but just be truthful and honest with yourself, because then there's no point otherwise.
Totally. Lots of times you see people like kind of graduate into directing from researching or whatever, and because they've been putting treatments together for so long and they've been looking at so many different ways of doing ideas, their sort of creativity gets clouded and they don't really do what they want to do. So these new directors, sometimes I just tell them, I'm like, forget this, start over, because I've seen this before, it feels like something I've read before, and it doesn't feel like you're doing it. It feels like you're doing something you feel like is right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a hard thing. I think it takes a couple projects or a couple years just to find your voice and sort of figure out, okay, that's what I like doing. Those are the kind of videos or stories I like to tell. So it's not an easy thing, basically, is what I'm saying. It takes time to sort of figure out, what you're all about.
Mikey and Dave, can you tell us any sort of warning, things to watch out for once you have got your foot on the ladder that you want to be on? What kind of things do you need to watch out for to make sure you keep being successful? Like, thinking of the number of bands who get signed to a label but who fuck it up in so many ways that are not to do with their music and not about their creativity, it's about other stuff. What things do you need to be also good at and develop an awareness of once you're getting more professional, I suppose?
Or once you're with a production company and up and running.
Yeah. I mean, how do people kick themselves in the foot? If that's the right expression, it isn't, but you know what I mean.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Right.
Would be my simple answer. Take it one step at a time. I mean, I've only been producing music videos now for about 4.5 years, and I still learn something every day in pre-production on every job I do.
Yeah.
Whether it's a good thing to learn or a bad thing to learn, or I pick up from mistakes, whatever, I'm still learning. And I think that's probably, again, going to the whole creative side of music videos, is everybody's learning, everybody's expanding. DPs are messing about with different lights or different techniques or different cameras they haven't used. Art directors are building new sets. It's take it with a pinch of salt and just go with it. Don't step outside of your boundary unless, like these guys were saying, you've got this shit hot DP who knows exactly what he's doing and you've got that faith. Don't get ahead of yourself, take it one step at a time.
I'd say you've got to learn to be collaborative as well, and work well with commissioners and agency creatives, and learn to take criticism. And I've seen quite a lot of directors over the years who aren't particularly good at that, and it doesn't stand them in good stead at all. Doesn't make people want to work with you. So
it's a people industry.
Yeah.
Don't
So you've got to be
get a
good
big
at that.
head.
What sort of things do you look for with a new director's video? Because obviously we're all dealing with quite low budgets.
Yeah.
So there's not always the budget there to put everything you want to into a concept. Do you look more for the direction and like the shot choices or the concept?
I think it's just really, really important, if you're working on that sort of budget, not to overcomplicate the idea and try and cram too much in. It's just about a really well thought out idea and proving that you've got an eye, and that you can make things look good on a budget. I think that's the most
Whatever the
thing.
budget, you can get a sense of someone's talent.
Yeah, exactly.
Really quick one.
I was just wondering, do you guys have any experience with animated music videos?
It's a really tough scene, man.
Yeah.
Because you need time.
Yeah,
and
no,
that's the problem,
the
is that the turnaround of music videos is so quick.
You get 3-4 days to prep a video, you shoot it, and then you've got to deliver within a week.
Yeah.
Animation's weeks on weeks.
Yeah.
It does happen, but
also from music video channels don't like playing animation videos. They really don't like it. I mean, if it was like for instance, there's a Pixie Lott video that James Clayton did where there's bits of like arrows like coming in and things like that. That works, but an entirely animated video, it just doesn't. I think it's.
You very rarely see them, like you said, integrated.
We did one and they just refused to play it.
Yeah.
you get a lot of web content though. I mean, that's the good thing is YouTube and stuff. You can A, show naked people, and B, animate.
Yeah.
Talk to me afterwards, because there's a whole different scene that is.
Well, I noticed that with animated music videos, it's usually picked up by animation studios who do ads and other things. So, and it's like their kind of little side projects. And there's been, it kind of seems quite rare for individuals to do animated music videos. like as a director.
Yeah.
Or it's an animated short film and they've just put the track to it. Maybe they've pitched with the idea that they've made this film already, and then the label maybe go with that.
Yeah, that could work.
You see that sometimes.
Such a shame we haven't got longer because brilliant conversation. Thank you so much, fantastic panel. I'm sure everybody can hang around just for a little bit if you want to come and get cards of people and things and people. Thank you so much, panel. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Rushes.